My name's Davida Shinsky, and the title of this program is Live Without Limits, Reach Personal Success on a Daily Basis. The purpose of our show is to talk about issues around mental health and psychology, anything that keeps you from reaching your personal goals on a daily basis. And today's presentation is titled Four Scientific Reasons Why Moving Your Body Boosts Your Mental State. Your mental health and physical health don't exist in separate bubbles. In reality, they exist more like a Venn diagram. For example, you might exercise for your physical health, yet this spills over and improves your mental health as well. Feel good endorphins, like personal relationships, your mental and physical health is a two-way street. Exercise impacts your mood, and your mood impacts whether or not you take care of your physical body. In other words, movement is just as much a mental health strategy as it is a physical health strategy. So let's dive into this topic a little bit more. Why and how does moving your body elevate your mental state? Before I get into it, I want to say this that many years ago, I had someone come into or break into my apartment, and I happened to be in the shower at the time. And they took advantage of this situation and tried to rape me. And what ended up happening was that weekend, the health club was doing a special uh, group exercise. And I remember going to it, and it really helped where I was in my head at the time, simply because it was an outlet to get rid of the stress that was caused by the situation I found myself in. The World Health Organization, or WHO, states that there was a 13% rise in mental health issues and substance abuse disorders from 2007 to 2017. In fact, about 20% of the world's population struggles with their mental health. And that's only what is reported. These numbers don't take into account the many silent mental health sufferers worldwide. If anything, we need movement more than ever. Along with these statistics, it's undeniable that sedentary jobs and general behavior are on the rise as technology takes over more labor intensive jobs. We spend more time sitting than ever before. This is problematic, especially when it comes to our mental health. More on this a little later on. The human body needs movement to function optimally. Unfortunately, our physical bodies have not quite evolved to the same pace as technology. This means we have to be intentional when it comes to incorporating movement into our everyday lives. I have been exercising 3 days a week for nearly 40 years. And that's because I grew up with a disability at a time when there were no laws that guarantee people with disabilities rights. And when I had to go in for surgery and they sent me for physical therapy was just moving blocks from one place to another. But what I found was that by my going in and exercising on an ongoing basis, what I am actually able to do for myself is to allow myself the the opportunity to stretch and strengthen and improve my balance to the point that for nearly 50 years I was able to, to walk without wearing a walk on brace because I was able to catch myself as I would seem to trip. But as I got older, my balance got a little bit worse just simply because of age. And I found that in my case, it was more important that since I live alone, to put the brace back on to improve mobility. And from falling over the years, I had the the fluid that surrounds the knee had pretty much no longer there, so it was always bone against bone rubbing. And by the time I was in high school, I found that my knee would sometimes give away, but as I got older in the last few years, I noticed it just seemed to last longer and I was a little bit more sore. And when I went to the orthopedist, now he gave me some supplements like turmeric and clendroin and glucosamine, but also he recommended that I get a knee sleeve. Well, when I went to the orthotic place, they said, no, you need a knee brace. And what they did with the other brace is because it's got a little of an indentation, it's able to hold that knee brace in place. And it helps me walk so much better than I would have had I not have worn them. So the fact is that as we get older, we need to be aware that the flexibility we have when we're young seems to dissipate. But with continual exercise, what you're doing is you're helping to improve your mobility and you're strengthening, and especially we forget about the musculature, that is the muscles, and they need what you can get through physical exercise that you can't get from just walking. How does movement elevate your mental state? You've probably heard the same old song and dance before. Regular exercise significantly decreases your risk of depression and anxiety, as well as reduces stress, improves mood, and enhances cognitive functioning. But how? Let's examine this in a little more detail. Exercise literally increases your brain's size. There's a ton of research that supports movement increasing the size of the brain. When you move, you stimulate the brain derived neurotropic factor. This actually encourages the growth of new neural connections and enhances the health of already existing neurons. When you move, your body, your brain kicks into gear, creating new connections and boosting the health of what is already there. Exercise improves your memory recall. Cognitive decline tends to naturally occur as we age. However, it doesn't necessarily have to. There's plenty of stories where individuals have maintained their cognitive sharpness until their last days. In fact, studies demonstrate how exercising just twice a week can decrease memory loss and improve overall brain functionality. It's theorized that exercise does this by increasing blood circulation to the brain, which offers up more oxygen and nutrients, helping your brain do what it does best. Exercise enhances sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're like familiar with the dreaded brain fog, fatigue, and more that haunts you as you attempt to go about your day. Sleep is essential for the restoration and repair of the body's tissues and systems. A lack of sleep is actually associated with increased anxiety and depression. Experts have shown numerous times how even just 30 minutes of physical activity a day can improve a person's sleep that night. This helps them obtain that restorative sleep that the body desperately needs. Moving your body might be what you need to counterbalance any increased anxiety, stress, or low moods as of late. Exercise improves your mood. Typically, you leave an exercise session feeling empowered and elevated. This in itself is a surefire sign that exercise and mental health are intricately linked. But what's going on beneath the surface? When you exercise, your body releases endorphins. These endorphins reduce your pain perception by interacting with certain receptors in the brain. In addition to this, endorphins elevate your mood. This is the reason you feel so good after an exercise session. Endorphins are the chemicals individuals are referring to when they talk about the runner's high. These changes also help combat stress by reducing the stress hormones, cortisol, in the body. Research further shows that exercise, including team sports, drastically reduces an adolescent's risk of depression. In other words, moving your body is powerful when it comes to elevating your mood and your mind. Finding the right exercise for you, despite all the recommendations out there in terms of the right type of exercise, the best physical activity is one that works for you and your life. And ideally, it's something that you like to participate in on a regular basis. For different people, that can mean different activities. The ultimate goal is to find something that you can do a couple of times a week. For example, walking, dancing, weightlifting, yoga, biking, and spinning. Or using this, what we're talking about is that there are spin classes where you actually work up your stamina by taking a 45-minute class, swimming, workout classes, tai chi. And a quick note here, you might not need to try a few activities before you find one that clicks. Just because you don't like yoga, it doesn't mean that there aren't many other activities that you can try. Start moving your body and your mental health. While you might not be motivated, a little movement might be just what the doctor ordered. Motivation aside, there are countless reasons to move your body. Joining workout classes can even foster a sense of community and belonging. This can open a whole new world to you in your life. So pencil a little more movement into your calendar. You likely won't regret it. and you'll probably feel pretty good afterward. Give your body and your mental health exactly what they need. Your body will be made for it. Now, the last thing that I'm going to say is one thing that I have found is that when it comes to exercise, I have been doing this for nearly 40 years. And I'm my own motivator because my mobility and my ability to continue to be active is very important to me. And you have to find what works for you because what works for one person may not work for someone else. But if you find what works for you, stick with it and at least work out 2 to 3 times a day.